Hi, my name is Marichi van Veen from Drawing to Health, and welcome back to the course. In the last video, we were talking about what to pay attention to when applying for a job. Things like job requirements and online presence, that kind of stuff. In this video, we're going to talk about what to do when applying. So, again, there's three very short things actually, or short things. It's a short list. So what you need is a comprehensive resume, a cover letter, and most importantly, to be yourself. Now, let me explain. A comprehensive resume. You have many different types of, you have two different types of resumes. Normally, you would have a chronological resume, which just basically lists everything you've done in order of time. So you start with what you're doing last. Uh, so if you had a job last month, you start with that and then work your way down to education. And a functional resume is usually just um, showing what skills you have and where you got those skills. A comprehensive resume is a mix of both of them. So it is all chronological. So you would again start with your work, with the last work that you had, or education if you're just stepping into the job market. You would start with that, and then you work your way down. But you will have more than just your work and education. So you start with your work, all your work experience. You write all of those down in chronological order. But then when you're done with that, you would, if you have them, you would write professional affiliations. And that means if you're like, for example, president of a Rotary Club, you would write that down. If you were in a business association, you also write that down. You write down what role you had and what your contributions were and what skills you had or needed to have for that role. After professional affiliations, you would have awards. So if, for example, you were Employee of the Month, always good to write that down. If you've had certain community achievements, also write those down, and write very shortly what they were for, what they were about. Don't go too much into detail, but just list them as needed. After that comes your education, but that doesn't just apply to elementary and then middle school and high school. It also applies to, for example, if you have a continued education, you may write that down. If you've had a specialized training, if you've had seminars, if you've been to a conference, if you've had workshops, you may all write them down. It is a good idea to be a little bit, selective in what you write down. I, for example, have had a workshop making cupcakes. It's great that I've had that workshop, but I don't need to put it in my resume. So, do kind of pick and choose what you want to put on there. You don't have to put everything on there, but, most of what you've done and most of what would be considered something useful for work. Cupcakes are not useful for work, so don't write those down, for example, right? So after you've written down the entire education thing, so all the training and seminars, conferences, workshops, that kind of stuff, then you get to specialized skill set, and these can be hard skills or soft skills. So for example, if you are multilingual, you can write that down, and the good thing is to write down your level of fluidity in the language. If you have experience with specialized equipment, you may write that down as well. If you have worked with a specific software or app that you think that might be a good thing for them to know, you may write that down. So, for example, if you're very good with Word, write that down because they know that that's a specialized skill set to have to work with Word. So you can write all of those down. And that basically is your comprehensive resume. Of course, it is also a good idea to If you're someone who's very organized, put that in there. You can put those usually under the specialized skills. You can uh, put them under a subcategory of soft skills. So if you're a very organized, very focused person, put that in there. By all means, do. It's good for them to know what they're getting um, into their company. And lastly, for the resume, don't forget to put in your contact info. It's very important. Um, they won't be able to contact you for a job interview if you don't. So, don't forget that. Um, so what's next? Cover letter. So a cover letter is basically a sales pitch of yourself to the company. It's actually like a letter, not like the resume. The resume is just um, factual. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and these are my skills. A cover letter is you introducing yourself, you know, selling yourself to the company, if that makes sense. Not in a literal way, but as I said, it's a little bit of a sales pitch. Like, look what I can bring to this company. Um, there are three types of cover letters. Sorry, three types of cover letters. You have an application letter, which responds to a job application. It's just, hey, I see you have this job open. I want to respond to it. There's another one that is a prospecting letter. I'm having a difficult time pronouncing that. Prospecting letter. There you go. A prospecting letter is basically you go to a company and you ask whether they have a job opening in the company. Sometimes they might have a job opening, but they don't have that opening. They don't have an open on the job market, or maybe it just opened up. Who knows? Maybe they haven't had time to put it on the internet yet. So that's a prospecting letter. They're just basically asking, hey, do you guys have a job? Because if not, or if you do, here's my resume. Um, and then there's a third one that I did not mention earlier, and I should have, but I'm going to mention it now, is a networking letter. And a networking letter, well, it basically speaks for itself. You use it to network. What you would do in that is you would request information about certain jobs. So if you want to be a web developer, you could send a networking letter to a well-known internet. No, sorry, like a well-known web developing company. You could request for information and also ask for their help in getting you a job. Because you're already uh, putting yourself out there by writing the cover letter, and you're saying that, oh, I'm good at this, I'm good at this, and I have these skills, and I think I'd be a great asset to the company because of these and these reasons. But I cannot seem to find anything fitting. Maybe you guys know of a place where I could apply for a job. That would be done with a networking letter. You could ask a company to help you find something, or just to ask whether they know someone who's willing to hire you, or who's looking to hire anyone. So that's a networking letter. Um, it's also important in a cover letter to, be yourself. So if you're there's always a bit of a level of formality in a letter like that. But if you're a person who's also very formal, it's good to show that in your letter. But if you're a person who's more laid back, you know, try and put a little personal touch into the letter, but don't be too personal. They don't need to know about your family situation, or if you have brothers or something. That's a bit too much. But um, just describe yourself, and basically just make it a bit more personal than just what you've said in resume. Because if you're going to repeat what you said in your resume, you might as well have just have sent the resume. So, introduce yourself, tell them about yourself, highlight the skills that you think are most interesting for them to know to get hired. And yeah, Just let them get to know you. And the last point, yes, I am still doing this. The last point that I have is be yourself. And with that, I mean, it's very tempting that to get into a company, sometimes they require the people that work there to be a certain way or do some certain things. Um, don't just do it because you want the job. If you're not comfortable with whatever they're asking you, it's best to, no matter how nice the job might be, it's best to then look for something else. Um, if, for example, they all go to the bar on Friday night or Friday afternoon, and you're not much of a drinker, you might, you know, don't act like you do like it because they're going to notice eventually. And people generally don't like when being lied to. No one does. And you might think, ah, it's a little white lie. Um, but it, especially if you work in a team, it will make you be an outsider. It will make sure that you won't connect as well with the others, and you don't want people to get a different impression of you than what you are. So it's important to be yourself. Um, and if you see that a company has some morals, values that are not aligning with yours, it's best to just move on and look for another job, no matter how much fun the job seems, because eventually it will catch up to you. It always does. So, be yourself. If you're someone who likes to have a lot of fun, um, don't tamp that down just for a job. You need to be happy and healthy in order to do your job well. And if you're constantly either repressing or acting like someone you're not, that's going to make you unhappy, and then nobody wins. So yeah, basically be yourself. Don't just change for just a job. Don't. Um. So yeah, I think I've said everything that needs to be saying about applying for a job, and I've given you plenty of tips. I hope that you all understood everything that I said. I hope that it will help you in your future endeavors and that you will, find a job very quickly. Thank you very much for watching all these videos and the courses. And yeah, I said again, I wish you the very best of luck. So thank you for watching and good luck.